Welcome to the Integrated Institute of Professional Management. This is Chartered Management Consultant course offered by the Integrated Institute of Professional Management in affiliation with the Chartered Institute of Management Consultants USA. In today's class, we are going to be looking at brand management. In the objectives of this class, we are going to be looking at explaining what is a brand, looking at the importance of a brand. Then we look at describing the attributes of a strong brand, explaining what brand management is all about. And then we describe the purpose of brand management, explain the brand equity concepts. Then we describe strategic brand management process. And then we look at the strategy brand management guidelines. It is important for us to recognize that as consultants, our brands matter so much, as our brand can either sell or destroy us. Brand represents our reputation, brand represents all that we do, and brand represents what our customers perceive about us. So it is important we pay attention to building our brand and then selling our products, selling our services through our brands. So let's kickstart and see what we can have here. So I have, by introduction, we have several brands represented here. The world of mobile phone market is crowded. The diverse products available range from the simple to the complex, and every manufacturer offers the latest features. The market is crowded with Nokia, Motorola, Ericsson fighting it out at the top. Also, several less successful brands like Samsung, Philips, Siemens, and Panasonic are trying hard to make it into the top competitors market. However, Nokia replaced all its competitors, and it is now the #1 brand in many markets around the world, effectively dislodging Motorola from that position. So what made Nokia special from others? Why did customers choose Nokia? The answer lies in what the brand Nokia means to customers. So let's look at what Nokia means to customers. Nokia Group, a Finland-based manufacturer of mobile phones, has been steadily and consistently working on its corporate brand name over the years. It has made a conscious effort to manage consumer perceptions of brands. These efforts of creating a brand image in the customer's mind paid off for Nokia. It escalated its position to become the #1 brand in several markets around the globe. Nokia has successfully built a corporate brand that associates trust and strong technology with the word Nokia. Nokia has succeeded by putting across the human face technology, taking and dominating the emotional high ground. Thus, you can see that a strong brand leaves an imprint on the customer's mind. Let us understand more about brands and brand management. Okay, so from the explanation we saw there in the days of Nokia, Nokia built a very strong brand that everyone wanted to have the brand Nokia. And the simple reason why everybody wanted to have Nokia, because we all believe that Nokia was strong. In fact, the major reason we all associated ourselves with Nokia was, okay, if Nokia falls to the ground, you will always pick it up and pack it back and then continue using it, as compared to other phones that if they fall to the ground, they scatter, and that could be the end of such devices. So Nokia built a brand that provided some kind of trust and provided a kind of strong technology support, and that took on the emotional side of buyers or consumers, that made a whole lot of difference to the position that Nokia held in the market, and also to the kind of sales that Nokia made also in the market. So having looked at the brand Nokia that we know those days, let's now look at the importance of brand. Now the case study of Nokia is not just to read it through or to have us remember what Nokia represents, but it's also for us also to know what importance, what weight a brand can carry in selling a product or selling a service. So to us in consulting, that applies the same way. So if you hear of big weights like PwC, or you hear of big weights like McKinsey, or you hear of big weights like EY or KPMG, those people have built some kind of brands that when they are mentioned, people get to respect those brands because they believe that there is quality associated, there is professionalism associated, there is excellence associated. So when you build your own brand, you should be able to give it the kind of representation you want it to have in the minds of your customers. All right. Okay. So quickly, let's look at explaining what a brand is. So what is a brand? A brand is the seller's promise to deliver the same bundle of benefits and services consistently to buyers. On the other hand, a name becomes a brand when consumers associate it with a set of tangible and intangible benefits that obtain from the product or service. A product is any offering by a company to a market that serves to satisfy customers' needs and wants. A product can be an object, a service, idea, and so on. So brands are not the same as products. All right. So let's explain it a little. Brand is what conveys your promise to your customers to deliver value consistently and consistently and constantly and at good quality or excellent quality. So for us in consulting, what we call quality in consulting, we call excellence quality, we call professionalism quality, we call good delivery, timely delivery quality, we call result-oriented work quality. So when you are selling a product as consulting or selling a service as consulting, you must consider what then the promise will be, what the bundle of benefits will be. Remember, in one of the classes, when we were talking about services, basics of service markets and clients, all right, we mentioned something about core values and or core services versus supplementary services. So in the same way, when you're representing your brand should be able to present to your customer that there are both tangible and intangible sides of your service. All right, there are both core and supplementary services that could be rendered. All right, so a brand is the seller's promise to deliver the same bundle of benefits and services consistently to the buyer. So there should be no deviation in your excellence delivery. There should be no deviation in your professionalism. There should be no deviation in your timely delivery. If you remember what we mentioned in one of the classes, we talked about service encounter, and we talked about the impression that we create to our customers. In the same way, our brands need to create some kind of encounters, lasting encounters that will make our customers want to come back and patronize and buy from us again. Nokia brand promises trust and strong technology. The popular Starbucks has earned its brand image from the opinions of its customers. The brand Starbucks stands for bolder, more flavorful coffee. Thus, you can see that brands are what the customers buy. So why products are what consign and companies make, what consign or companies make. All right. So you remember that products are quite emotional. Buying products, buying services are quite emotional. So a good brand should be able to get onto the emotional side of its clients. All right. The emotional side of its clients. All right. All right, brand is a promise that the product will perform as per customers' expectation. It is a name, term, sign, symbol, or a combination of all of these, which differentiate the goods or services of one seller or group of sellers from those of competitors. Some examples of well-known brands are the Wrangler, the Audi, the Samsung, the Coca-Cola. You have the Apple, and other products there that are well-known also. Okay, quickly, let's look at the importance of brands. The number one importance of brand is that brands have become important drivers of growth for any organization, good or service. So number one importance is that a good brand is a good driver of growth. Number two, the main reason consumers flock to some brands and ignore others is that behind the brand stands an unspoken promise of value. So that means brands carry the representation of the true value that your organization or your product or your service delivers. All right. So brand is a representation of value. All right. Or it is a promise of value. All right. Then number three is that a brand is a promise that the product will perform as per customers' expectation. So number three is that a brand is a proof or is a show that the expectations of customers will be met. So it conveys on itself some kind of communication that yes, this brand will be able to meet your needs. All right. Then the next there is that a brand helps make a mark and differentiate a good or service from others in the marketplace. So for the purpose of differentiation, we need a brand. A good or perhaps a strong brand makes people aware of what the company represents and about the different offerings of the company. So your brand should be able to tell about your products or services to your customers or to your clients. Brands help customers to connect to the product or service on an emotional level. So remember, one of the essence of branding is to get the emotional sides of customers. So a good brand should have emotional perceptions or emotional embedments to them. So why do brands matter? Why do brands matter? Now, if you look at the chart we have here, you see the three components of what we have here. You see the two sides of what we have here. So let's check for all of the different products that we have here. Maze is selling status. All right. So if you have Maze, you feel good that you have Maze. So Maze satisfies that level of a need where you feel like, oh, I've arrived. I'm actually having the best service at the moment. Okay. Then you have Panasonic, care for the environment. Okay. So Panasonic makes you feel like you care for the environment. All right. Then the question about each of these brands come with each. For Maze that sells status, does the brand signify status such as a Maze? Okay, so the product that you want to sell, does it signify the kind of emotional arousal? Does it signify that kind of emotional boldness that people carry when they have Maze? All right, so does your product represent or signify status as in the kind of Maze? Then for Panasonic, does it care about the environment like Panasonic? For Omega, they represent elegant and refined. So is it elegant and refined like Omega? For Royal and Enfield that represent ruggedity, is your product a rugged brand like Royal Enfield? Now for Nike or Nike that represent love outdoors. So does your product represent love the outdoors like the Nike or Nike? Then for Apple that represent open-minded and progressive. So does your product represent open-minded and progressive like Apple? Then you have Lenovo, which makes you feel like the achiever. So does your brand, is your brand for achievers like Lenovo? Then when we come to Blue Star, we represent quality. So does your product represent quality like in the case of Blue Star? Now, when you're building a brand, you'll take a combination of things, all right? Take a combination of things that will help you sell or perhaps that will help you get the attention of customers first and then help you to be able to sell your services well enough. So like I said earlier, in the consulting industry, you have professionalism, you have quality, you have content, you have delivery, and you have commitment, you have integrity. So does your product represent more of the things that your customers will really want to call quality as in consulting? All right. So let's take a look at what we have here. So we have thus, you can see that the people connect emotionally with brands that stand for things that are important to them. So that is one important thing you need to know why brand is really important. People connect emotionally with brands that stand for the things that are important to them. And that's why when we spoke about the overview of consulting, and we spoke about identifying your client and your niche market, you need to really know what they are up for, especially on the emotional side. We also took time, one of the classes here spoke about emotional intelligence for consultants, right? So you're also going to take time to understand the emotional dimensions of these people that are coming to you as clients. What really do they consider as important, all right? So customers use brand as means to show this is what I stand for, and hence use brands to express themselves. So the brand actually is for the customer to express himself. So if your brand cannot really help customers to express themselves, they will not really come into buying them. So for instance, a training consultant that is offering training, if your training makes your clients to feel like, yes, I am getting it right. If your training makes your customers feels bold, feels agile, feels encouraged, feels self-motivated, they are possibly going to come back to you. Now, some people's training could be okay about the certification. Now, if the certification makes more important to your client than the if the certificate makes more important than the certificate, if the certification makes more important than the training, they have to consider that also. Then the important thing is the customers remain loyal to the brands and they become advocates for those brands. All right, let's take a brief break and then we'll be back. Thank you so much. All right. So we've come to um, knowing why brands really matter to us. Okay, we've come to know why brands really matter to us. Brand for consumers and sellers. Let's look at these different things. Now, for consumers, source of product, um, lower risk, uh, less cost of searching for a choice, symbol of quality, and symbolic device. So the word brand signifies different things to consumers and buyers. So we need to understand that and then work around it. Okay, so for us uh, as consultants, we should also understand that we have consumers and then we have sellers. When we have partners and we have distributors of our products and we have network of other companies partnering with us, those people become the sellers of our brands. Why? Our clients that we serve become the consumers of the product. So we also need to understand that sellers have, or these partners have, a different perception of what brand should look like compared to the perception of the consumers or the clients who are using this product. In the same way, I would say that brands have the both internal and external dimensions. Okay, so the internal dimension of brands have their own representation also. So when you look at the internal dimension of brand, you look at the internal dimension of brand as regards to what the brand represents as to employee experience. You look at what the brand represents to stakeholder management. You look at what the brand represents to um, the internal dimensions of the business, right? Then when looking at the external dimension, you now have the consumers and the sellers, right? So the consumers have their own perception and the sellers have their own perception also, all right? So these are some of the things that consumers will consider. Source of the product, low risk, less cost of searching for less cost of searching for a choice, then symbol of quality, and then symbolic device. So this could be what the customers or the consumers want to see. For the source of product, consumers can easily make purchase decision based on brands. Consumers usually find brands which satisfy their needs. Then for lower risk, a brands mean lower purchase risk to consumers as they are dealing with a product organization that they trust. Then on the less cost of searching for a choice, if the consumers recognize a particular brand and have knowledge about it, they make quick purchase decision and save a lot of time. Also, they save search cost for products. Then you have the symbol of quality. Consumers see brands as symbol of quality and remain committed and loyal to a brand as long as they believe that the brand will continue meeting their expectations and perform in desired manner consistently. Then symbolic device. Brands play a significant role in signifying certain product features to consumers. So we have seen what these consumers will really want from you as to branding. All right. Okay, so let's look at the seller. What does the seller really consider? Okay, those people coming to you as partners, those people coming to you and say, we want to resell your product. What do they really want? What do they really consider? Number one is means of competitive advantage, legal protection of product and features, satisfied customers, and means of profit. So if a seller is coming to you, he's not really looking at what the customer is looking at. He's looking at, okay, so if I'm going to partner with you, how competitive are you? All right, so that I will not really spend my time working on something that does not have a competitive advantage. Then you also want to look at the legal protection of the product so that he doesn't go out there selling the product and he or she will be harassed legally. Then you also look at the customer base you have. So how satisfied are they? If you have a customer base that is satisfied, then it's easier to create a network of sellers. Then means of profit, how would they make profit? Okay, how do you make profit? And that will also help them to know how they make profit. If you look at companies like PwC, look at companies like KPMG, look at companies like McKinsey. If they come to you today and say, okay, we want you to partner with us, you definitely want to partner with them because why? All of these things here have been made to a greater extent. They have strong competitive advantages in their own field. They have legal protection of their product features. They have satisfied customers. They have means of, they have high profit margin. So you will always want to partner with such people, right? Even if the company is a startup company, you also have to consider all of these things, all right? You have to review all of these things strategically and then find out whether it's exactly what you want to go into or not, all right? Okay, so let's look at each of them and see what they mean. So for means of competitive advantage, a brand helps the firm to provide consistently a unique set of characteristics, advantages, and services to the buyers and consumers. Now, for the legal protection, brands help to protect the unique features and traits of product by legal copyright. The satisfied customers, brand represent values, brand represents values, ideas, and even personality, and hence leads to an assortment of memories in customers' mind, and hence satisfied customers. Means of profit, brands form the basis of purchase decision among consumers and thus are a means of financial profit. So it means you have to really invest in ensuring that your brand really gets to the right customers or gets to the right client, and then ensuring that these brands are well accepted, all right? Okay, so let's look at the attributes of a strong brand, the attributes of a strong brand. So what makes a strong brand? It is important that in order to make strong impact, a brand should be strong. These, okay, there are a few characteristics that make strong brand, which are as follows. Number one, a strong brand is a major driver of shareholder value. Okay, I think I've tried explaining that before, right? It is a major decider of shareholder value, all right? Then a strong brand is like an asset. It can be used as collateral for financial loans, buying and selling as an asset. Okay, some time ago, I took out time to research on some products and some brands, okay? And one of the companies I researched on was on Coca-Cola. And the research said that the brand Coca-Cola was almost 10 times more than the total company, like the total production, the total revenue of the company. per time, the brand of Coca-Cola is worth more than the things they sell. All right, it's worth more than the things they sell. And according to the research then, it was proven that the brand Coca-Cola was more than the GDP of 3 developed nations joined together. So they mentioned about 3 developed nations, which I may not call their names here. And they said the brand of Coca-Cola was more than a particular continent. The value of Coca-Cola was more than the total economic assets of a particular continent, which I also will not mention the name. All right. So you see how important the brand had become as an asset. All right. So even if you close down Coca-Cola, at the mention of the name Coca-Cola, some people still want to get more. All right. Okay. So there is a strong brand has strong attributes, values, and personality that the consumer associates with the brand. All right. So a strong brand is a means of attaining higher customer loyalties, right? A strong brand always delivers the benefit that customers truly desire. A strong brand makes use of and coordinates full range of marketing activities to build equity. Very, very important. If your brand must sell, then you must invest in marketing activities. A strong brand has the right blend of product quality, design, features, cost, and prices. A strong brand is properly positioned and occupies a particular niche in consumers' mind, rather. Now, a strong brand compels consumers to willingly pay a substantial and consistent premium price for the brand versus competing product or service. Now, looking at Gillette as a strong brand, Gillette as a strong brand. Gillette is one of the strongest brands in the market of men's personal care products. It has tied the actual quality of its products to various intangible factors as user imagery. The type of person who uses Gillette, the type of situations in which the brand is used, the type of personality Gillette portrays, and so on. They have technology. Its razor blades are technologically advanced as possible through continuously spending millions of dollars in research and development. Then you have the sub-branding. It has developed several sub-brands as Track 2, Ultra, Sensor, Match 3 to remain on top of its competitors. So apart from the fact that you can have your major brand, you can also have the sub-brands. Then you have the enhancement. It makes constant improvement with modifiers like Ultra Plus and Sexual Excel. Now, in the same vein, all of what we're doing here as case studies is to show us how we can also emulate from these companies who have already built strong brands, and then look at what they did, and then look at what we can do. Then innovate on what they've done, to be able to get a strong brand for our consulting firms, our product firms, and all of the things we do out there. All right. So having Gillette as a strong brand is a good example of what we can use here. We also have other strong brands that we can always imagine. Like you have companies like Toyota, all right? That's for the product companies, automobile companies. And then you have, the question is, why were companies like Accenture, IBM, why would they remain on top of consulting firm or consulting industry? Okay, those, by the time we go ahead and continue doing researches and find out what really makes them who they are, then we'll be able to find out how to innovate on who they are and then become better off and well positioned in the company. I've always used this case of Nokia in the Nigerian market versus Techno in the Nigerian market. Nokia refused to understand the need of the people on time, which Techno understood on time. Techno came into the market and was producing almost the same product as Nokia. So there was no difference. There was no difference. So the only difference we saw from Techno then was that Techno was able to produce higher sound, which people considered as noise. So it didn't really allow Techno to move the market as they would have. But Techno went back, innovated on their products, and came up with Android products. And Techno actually in Nigeria, Techno brought in Android first before any other company did, any other product did. All right. So that catch that you can be able to touch, you don't need to be pressing buttons, but you just need to touch the screen of your phone and you're doing what you want to do. Then you could make video, you could make good video from your phone, all right? And all of that really changed a whole lot of things. And then Google, Techno began to have products like Google inside their features, Play stores, and all of that, which were not available in Nokia as of then. Now, if you look at the innovation, you find that as soon as those innovations jumped into the Nigerian market, the mentality of the Nigerian market as regards to what Techno was changed automatically. So it changed from noise to becoming a lifestyle. So Techno represented then a lifestyle that people wanted to find themselves in, a lifestyle of, okay, I can snap you on a good quality camera. I can my phone is touch screen as it were then, and as it were still now. All right, so that made Techno to dominate the Nigerian market even up to now. All right, most of us don't remember Nokia again, even with the fact that Nokia has finally adopted Android, and now we still know them for strong brand, but it is now almost difficult because Techno came up and they came up with accessories. All right, so you could have pouch, you could have screen guard, and all of those things. So with your pouch, if your phone falls to the ground, you can still pick it up and use it. With your screen guard, if your screen cracks, you can replace it with another one. So they formed other accessories that now have become alternatives to the strong technology that Nokia represented. So in your own dimension as a consultant, while you're building your brand, what are the things you will consider as innovations? Okay, what are the things you consider as innovations that your brand should portray for customers' mind to be attracted towards your company? I trust we are getting this together. Now, remember, if you have any question, use the comment section on this YouTube channel, and then we'll be able to respond to you. Feel free to communicate. And of course, you are also part of the WhatsApp groups and all of those communication channels. If you have any question, feel free to send us your message, and we'll be sure to communicate you. But for the fact that you are sitting through and getting this training through YouTube, I think it'll be okay. You just put your comment there, and one of our consultants will respond to you, and other people also in the communication or in the discussion room will also communicate with you. Feel free to ask questions that can help you build brands, good brands, right? Excellent brands that will stand out. All right, Gillette as a strong brand. Gillette tagline, the best a man can get, showed in its ad through the years, has created a consistent, intangible sense of product superiority. Okay, now I've not really been a fan of watching televisions, but recently I started watching television. Okay, and one of the television stations I watch most is this TVC News. If you're in Nigeria, you should know TVC News. Okay, all right. Now, now there is something that TVC News has actually done. If you check their tagline, they'll say TVC News first with breaking news. Oh, so one of the days I asked myself, I said, how do we know that you are the first with the breaking news? That is not really the question anyway. But the thing is that they are creating a brand that makes you feel like if you want to have breaking news, just tune into TVC. I don't know whether you get it. They've created a tagline that says first with breaking news. So your tagline also, remember, all of these things are driving towards emotional arousals to the clients. They want you to buy, they want the products to sell to you, right? So first with breaking news. So what does it mean? Anytime you want to get breaking news, you go to TVC News, right? Then there is another station. I love action movies, right? Okay, so there is this NBC Action, right? And specifically NBC2. So you will see them say home of movies. Home of what? Movies. Then for NBC Action, they will show you all of the actions and they will tell you, come home. All right, come home. So it's like, if you really want to enjoy good movies, then come to NBC Action or NBC2. So those taglines, they help in promoting our brands. Those taglines help in promoting our brands. Gillette has created a strong brand image in totality. That is, all the different perceptions, beliefs, attitudes, and behavior customers associate with the brand. To keep this strong brand presence, Gillette is very protective of the name carried by its razors, blades, and associated toiletries. Hence, brown is used for company's electric razors, and its oral care products are marketed under the name Oral-B. So you see the protection also they are given to their brands. All right. So if you build a good brand, you will be very careful to protect it. All right. So having looked at that, let's quickly look at what brand management is all about. All right. What is brand management? So now that you've learned about brands, let's see what is brand management. Brand management is the process of building, managing, and improving a brand. It begins by having a thorough knowledge of the term brand. Hence, brand management includes developing a promise, making that promise, and then maintaining it. It means defining the brand, positioning the brand, and delivering the brand. It is an art of creating and sustaining the brand. So in totality, we could say brand management is the art of creating and sustaining the brand. Okay, creating and sustaining the brand. And you know, for the fact that we've already put out the brand there, means that we must continuously engage in continuous development, in continuous improvement to ensure that our brands are well represented. All right, that our brands are well represented. The tangible and intangible characteristics of brand are managed through brand management. The tangibles for product brands include the product itself, its characteristics, features, price, packaging, and so on. Whereas in case of service brand, the customer's experience forms the tangibles. Now I want you to get the differences in branding for products and in branding for services. Now, if you're branding for products, you look at things like the product itself, you look at things like the characteristics of the product, the features of the product, the pricing, the packaging, perhaps the kind of quality of people in that company. And then you look at the delivery methods. So, but in service, that thing we call service encounter or customer experience forms the basis of the things we call tangible parts of consulting. So what is the experience? What is the encounter? That makes a whole lot of difference. Okay, so that makes a whole lot of difference. If you have poor service encounters, your reputation is already gone. Your brand is gone. If you have good service encounters, remember what I said in one of my classes. I said that you have to do your best to create the best impression, because as far as we are concerned in the service industry, it's often difficult to have a second chance to create another good impression. All right. So it is always good you create the best impression for the first encounter. That keeps the customer, that gets the customer coming. All right. So by whatever means, create first impression, make your first impression to be rock solid. The intangibles are made up of emotional connections with the product or the service. Get to understand this, all right? Thus, you can see that brand management is all about branding, all right? Branding is assembling of various marketing medium into a whole so as to give the product an identity. So if you check the marketing mix, we have basically the four major P's of marketing. So you have the price, the product, or perhaps product, price, place, and you have the process. All right, you have the people. That's if you want to keep on increasing. You have the people, and you have other parts. All right. So by the time you look at the product, the value proposition is well matched. Then you look at the price; it is compelling enough. Then you look at the people, the people producing and the people buying. The people buying are hungry for the products. The people selling are of quality to sell the products. Okay. Then you look at the place you're selling. Okay. The place you're selling. If you're using the digital process, is it user friendly? If it is a physical location, is it accessible? All right. Then you look at promotions, the marketing you're putting through, the adverts, the communications you're putting through, are they really establishing your brand as unique in the marketplace? These are things you consider, and many more in the marketing mix. All right. So there is building a brand name that captures the customer's mind. Very, very important. Very, very important. Very, very important. Now let's describe the purpose of brand management. What's the purpose of brand management? The main aim of branding is to differentiate a company's product and services from its competitors, all right? So when you're building a brand, remember we said it could be a term, it could be a logo, it could be a name, it could be a symbol, it could be a combination of many things, all right? So the whole essence of all of those things, the color you use, the shape you use, the size of your logo and all of that, the main aim is to differentiate your products, your company's product or services from that of your competitors. Branding aims to convey a brand message vividly, create a customer loyalty, persuade the buyer for the product, and establish an emotional connectivity with the customers and form customer perception about the product. Now, should there be anything that we are saying here that you don't understand, feel free, make your comment in the comment section. Be rest assured that we'll follow up on you to give you more guidance on this whole context of branding, all right? Especially branding on the consulting basis, all right? Okay, so brand management plays a crucial role to form brands. The brand management strategies also provide good support to the brand so that it can sustain itself in long run. Also, through brand management, brands are managed and brand equity is built over a period of time. It helps in building a corporate image. Thus, only a competent brand management system can create a successful brand. So only a competent brand management system can create a successful brand. Now let's look at what brand equity concept is all about. Brand equity concept, brand equity concept, brand equity concept, brand equity concept. Brand equity concept is the value, both tangible and intangible, that a brand adds to a product or service. Okay, the added value a brand name identity brings to a product or service beyond the functional benefits provided. So when people wear shoes, anybody could wear canvas, anybody could wear trainers. But when people wear Nike, they feel different because of the brand Nike. Anybody could use any kind of phone. But when people use Apple, they feel different. Okay? Anybody could use any kind of car. But you find out when people use perhaps cars like Bugatti, Ferrari, they feel different. All right, so that added value makes them want to feel connected to the product. All right, they want to make them feel connected to the product. All right. So apart from brand equity, we now have what we call the market-based side of the branding. So market-based brand equity aims at producing measures in dollars, in euros, or in yen, or in naira, or in Ghana cedis, or in any other form of currency. So brand equity is like helping your product gain a share of the market, all right? And then convertible to profit, right? Revenue, all right? Then we'll have the customer base. The customer base brand equity focuses exclusively on the relationship customers have with the brand. Do customers trust your brand? Do customers believe your brand? Can customers refer your brand? Can customers talk about your brand? All right. the customers feel proud about your brand? All of these need to be considered in brand equity. All right. So what percentage of inclusion do your customers have? What percentage of loyalty your customers have towards your brand? All right. That's very, very important. Still on brand equity concept, you can see that when a commodity becomes a brand, it is said to have equity. Brand equity is the premium a brand can command in the market, or the difference between the perceived value and the intrinsic value. I trust you get that. The premium that a brand commands in the market, that's the share of the market that a brand commands. That is the brand equity. I've said that before. Brand equity can also be thought as the added value endowed to a product in the thoughts, words, and actions of the consumers. There are many different ways that this added value can be created for a brand. Remember, when we spoke about service marketing, we said there are two kinds of services. So you have your core values, or core services rather, versus your supplementary services. You should, and also in service marketing, we spoke about value addition. All right. So value addition means you should constantly create something that will keep customers impressed, and by so doing, they want to keep them. Now, those value addition might not really be your core products or core services, but for the fact that you want to constantly make customers have an added value, added feeling to themselves, all right? So you have to consciously create those added value to them, all right? Then, therefore, it is important that brand equity should be nourished and replenished. Companies must take care of its brand so that the brand equity is not diluted or dissipated. A few examples of products with excellent brand equity include Google, Nike, and Starbucks. Let us now look at the process of building brands. So how do we build brands? Let's look at it. Strategic brand management process. Now I need you to pay attention here. How do we build brands? We have 4 strategic processes or strategic steps that we could use in building brands, all right? The first one is identifying and establishing brand positioning, all right? So what do you want your brand to command? What position do you want your brand to take in the market? And by saying brand positioning, we don't really mean number 1, number 2, number 3. But you should be able to say, okay, my brand should be so in the market, all right? Like we said sometimes ago, and that has been our commitment, that on or before 2035, IIPM International should have been a household name to every professional in Africa, should have been a household name to every government agency, to every organization that want to train their staff and all of that. That is what we want our brand to be. So we want our brand to be the first in the mind of people when they want to think about training, certifications, quality experiences, excellence in delivery, and all of that. That's the first thing, we want IPM to be the first thing to come to their mind. Then let others be alternatives. All right. And another position we want to give to our brand is that we are building a brand that customers do not have to rethink. All right. We are building a brand that does not require rethinking. So if you're connecting with us, you're already making your steps ahead. All right. And we're also building a brand that we establish in the mind of the customers that if you really want to grow, if you really want to have sustainability in growth and advance, then IPM should be your number 1 place. This is what brand establishing and positioning is all about. Not really talking about number 1 or number 2. So it is not you that will say your brand is number 1. It is the market that will say, okay, this brand is number 1 in this industry. All right. Then number 2 is planning and implementing brand marketing programs. All right. Brand, I said something earlier. Marketing is the foundation for brand advancement. So if you really want your brand to move and take over the market, then you must have strategic approaches to marketing your brands. All right. They have measuring and interpreting brand performance. Of course, your marketing approaches should be able to give you some kind of performance reviews. All right. So let's assume you're using newspaper marketing as your source of or say print media as a source of marketing. So what would be the performance report on? You use things like your revenue, the volume of calls you receive, the volume of emails you receive, the volume of market vibrations you receive. That should tell you about the performance. Then you look at your revenue, all right? So is it really speaking on my revenue, all right? Is it really speaking on my revenue? So these are the things you consider as important KPIs for your brand management or brand performance. Then step 4 is growing and sustaining brand equity. Growing and sustaining brand equity. How do customers connect with your brand? 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 What is the market share you're getting? These things are really practical. It's not as though you need them. It's not about theory. They are really practical, all right? And like I said, in case anything we are teaching here, there is an aspect you don't understand, you could ask us. That's why we're here teaching you, right? So you ask us, and we'll take on the time, provide the coaching and mentoring needed to ensure that you understand the nitty-gritties of what we're saying here, right? Okay. So step 1, identifying and establishing your brand position. Identifying and establishing your brand position. So what do we really do? You have the customer-based equity, which is talking about the customer loyalty to your product, how customers perceive your product and how they receive your product. Then you have building a strong brand. 4 steps of you consider the 4 steps of building a brand with respect to customer-based equity, right? And then you have the brand positioning. The brand positioning will have to contain things like positioning guidelines, and then identifying and establishing the brand position as it were. So if you want to go with customer-based equity, you look at the 4 aspects, all right, of brand development, strategic ways to develop your brand. You look at the 4 steps, then you look at the brand position, you look at the position it will give you, then you look at the positioning guidelines. The positioning guidelines are the actionable steps that you will take that will now determine what the position of the brand will be in the market. All right, I trust we are together. Still on identifying and establishing your brand position, look at that table. You have the resonance. Your brand must have vibration. Do you know what is vibration? Make the most of the noise in the marketplace. Your brand must resonate. It must be laudable. Let it be that everywhere, anywhere people go to, they see your brand. What's really about this brand? They see the brand. Okay, they see what? They see the brand, all right? Then that resonation, let there be good judgment, feelings, performance, imagery, and let there be also salience, importance. Let your brand carry importance. Let your brand carry what? Importance, all right? And that will move from identity to meaning to response to then having to establish a relationship. So the core concept there is what? Is importance, value, all right? Then the next is having performance, imagery, judgment, and feeling. Then another one is establishing resonance, vibrations in the market. Let people get to identify with your brand. All right. Customer-based brand equity. The brand position can be identified and established by determining the customer-based brand equity using the pyramid. Okay, so what we have the first one, brand salience. This relates to aspects of awareness of the brand. Then we have brand performance. This relates to the ways in which product services meet customers' needs. Brand imagery, it's how customers visualize a brand abstractly with no relevance to what the brand actually does. Brand judgment, the customer's personal opinions and evaluations with regard to the brand. Then brand feelings, the customers' emotional responses and reactions with respect to the brand. Then you have the brand resonance, the ultimate relationship and level of identification that the customers has with your brand. Building a strong brand, 4 steps of brand building. The 4 steps of brand building as to customer-based equity. You have number 1, identify who are you. Number 2, meaning what are you. Number 3, response, what about you. And then relationship, what about you and me. So what about you and me, you and the customer, that's your brand, and the customer or the clients. Response, what about you. Okay, so customers asking the question, what about you? Then meaning, what are you trying to find out? And then that's why you see customers going all the length, researching and doing everything to make sure that they get the right answers to questions. Then you have identity. Who are you? These people that are even making this noise, who are they really? Okay, who are they? The brand positioning is further divided into 2 parts. You have identifying and establishing brand positioning and positioning guidelines. Now, looking at each one in detail, brand positioning, identifying and establishing brand position as one of the 2 steps or 2 branches. It is necessary to decide who the target customer is, who the main competitors are, how the brand is similar to these competitors, how the brand is different from these competitors. Then we should also look at the target markets. The target market can be decided based on 2 considerations: segmentation basis, which will be on behavioral, which can be on behavioral, demographic, psychological, or geographic. And then you have the selection criteria, which will be on identifiability, on the size, on the accessibility, and the responsiveness of your target market. All right. Now we have the positioning guidelines. The positioning guidelines, the following are some of the positioning guidelines that firms should follow for effective brand positioning. Number 1, defining and communicating the competitive frame of reference. So what makes you different? Choosing points of parity and points of difference, establishing points of parity and points of difference, and then updating positioning over time. The step 2 to the strategic approach to building a brand is planning and implementing brand marketing. All right. So under it, you have leveraging secondary brand associations to build brand equity. Then you have under it, you have co-branding, you have licensing, and you have the celebrity endorsement. All right. And I trust we understand what this one is all about. Co-branding, licensing, and celebrity. Most often, if you're starting up newly as a company, you might try to go with co-branding. You might try to go with licensing. You might try to go, okay, celebrity endorsement always stand there. Okay. Now, what do we mean by co-branding? So IIPM affiliating with CIMC and CIMC affiliating with IPM is co-branding. We are in the same industry doing the same thing, but we are networking to create better service. IIPM networking with SHRM USA is co-branding. IPM networking with Professional Evaluation and Certification Board, and they're doing same with us, is co-branding. So we help sell their products, they help sell, or we help sell their brands, and they help sell our brands too. So how do they help in selling our brand? They help in selling our brand by marketing our brands on their website, marketing our brands on their newsletters, marketing our brands in their own country as well. Now, how do we sell their own brands? We sell their own brands by marketing their brands on our website, marketing their brands on our programs. As you can see on my background, you see CIMC. All right, so marketing their brands in our programs and all of that. So that pushes both brands. IPM is selling, they too, they are selling. All right. So with this co-branding, there are countries there are people from US attending this program. There are people from Nigeria attending it. There are people from Africa attending the program. There are people from America attending the program. So that is the work of co-branding, leveraging. That's co-branding. All right. Then you have the licensing. also. All right. So licensing has a great way of promoting your brand. So for instance, in Nigeria, having to go and register with the Corporate Affairs Commission and then having that permission to operate as a business could promote your brand. Now, for us, there are into education, having to go to the Federal Ministry of Education and getting their license, getting their accreditation to run the programs that we run, and then giving the validity that yes, this body is accredited. That license also pushes us in a long way. Now, going to the Center of Management Development and then getting to have their license and then receiving their letter to organizations and saying these people are of quality and they can deliver value to you. That is also part of leveraging. Okay, these leveragings, are they free? Some will be free, dependent on the company, but most of them are they have financial they have financial inclusion. So that means that branding is a capital intensive project. Okay, then the other ones is to use celebrities to make endorsements. All right, use celebrities to make endorsements. All right. Okay. So if you find in IIPM2, more of the things we do, we find some of the world-based consultants coming to the IPM platform to make their trainings, to give their voice and all of that. That's part of celebrity endorsement. There are people that could have attended this program because, oh, so person is coming to lecture here. So person is talking about this program. So that kind of celebrity endorsement also pushes your brand to a great extent. I trust we are understanding that. Then the next one that is designing marketing programs to build brand equity. So you have product strategy, you have pricing strategy, you have channel strategy, and all of these are great things you have to consider in marketing the brand. All right. Then you have choosing brand elements to build brand equity. So what would be the brand elements? So you have the options and tactics for brand elements. You have the criteria for choosing brand elements. And let's look at each of them and find how to explain them further. Now, choosing brand elements to build brand equity. Brand elements are sometimes called brand identities. They are the trademark devices that help to identify and differentiate brand. For example, the logo of tick mark of Nike, the Indian Maharaja of Air India, the rings of Aldi, and so on are brand elements. Choosing brand elements to build brand equity is further divided into two. So you have criteria for choosing brand elements and options and tactics for brand elements. Now, looking at criteria for choosing brand elements, the following criteria should be met to choose relevant brand elements, such as memorability, easily recognized, easily recalled, okay, meaningfulness, descriptive and persuasive, likability, fun and interesting, aesthetically pleasing, the transferability within cross-product categories, across geographical boundaries and cultures. They have adaptability, flexible and updatable. They have protectability, legally protected and competitively protected. All of these things should be considered a criteria. All right. Then we have options and tactics for for brand elements. So we have the brand names, descriptive brand names in which the functions is described literally in brand name. So when you have integrated institute of professional management, you don't need to ask what do you do. So if you see a company called Integrated Institute of Professional Management, there are keywords that I've already told them what to do. There is an institute there that is professional and there is management. All right, so you don't need to ask what they do. So by default, you should know that this is an institute that deals with management. Does that make sense? When you see something like Diamond Bank, Access Bank, First Bank, Bank of America, you don't need to ask what do they do. They've already told you what they do by their name. So when your name, your brand name does not convey what you do, there is going to be a discrepancy. You get to have several questions of what do you really do. Okay, what do you really do? All right. So the descriptive brand names in which the function is literally described in your product. Suggestive brand name in which the name is suggestive of a benefit provided by the brand to the customer. Okay. Then you have URLs. Keep the URLs as simple as possible. Avoid glitches. Use a new term for reward. Use catchy phrases. Okay, so importantly, let's take for instance, we want to build a URL for the integrated use of professional management. And when I say integrated use of professional management Nigeria.com, that is too long. That is too long. That will be boring. Okay, but when you say iipmi.org, that makes it simple. So iipmi.org, that makes it simple. Okay, facebook.com, that makes it simple. Twitter.com, that makes it simple. Instagram.com, that makes it simple. Okay, google.com, that makes it simple. When your URL begin to have Google _ blueberry Africa dot, it will be difficult to catch up with. So make your URLs as simple as possible. And you see easy ones, examples listed there. Logos are symbols. Various kinds that can be used are family shields, fonts, symbols, abstract shapes, abstract like shapes and images. Find the one that will most attract your customers. Still on the brand names, options and tactics for brand elements. Look at the characters that you use. Characters can also be used as brand elements. Look at the slogans, just like Nikkei, just do it. Okay, IPM, Home of Management Professionals. All right. Look at the jingles also. These are musical slogans that help in reminding by repetition. Examples: the R song and Fortuna, the Old Spice, the Old Spice theme song, and all of that. Then you have packaging, very, very important. All right. You know, some of us in consulting don't think that packaging is really important. Packaging is very, very important. Everything about your company should give service encounter, best service encounter, from your logo to your name, to your website, to your email management, communication management, to your online presence. Everything should give you what? Service encounter. That is part of the packaging, all right? That is part of the excellence we are talking about, all right? So that's very, very important. That's very, very important. Okay. Then we look at designing market programs to build brand equity. Brand equity can be built by focusing on designing effective marketing programs, keeping the following in consideration. You have product strategy, pricing strategy, and channel strategy. Okay, so let's look at these three things in just touch them a little. Okay, by the time we get to marketing, effective marketing, we'll still come back and look at all of these things critically, right? Because we all need to understand this. Now, if you as a consulting company do not understand it, something will go wrong. So you just need to understand how this branding thing works and make sure that it works for you. Okay, understand how it works and make sure that it's what? It is working for you. It must work for you. It has to work for you. All right. Okay, so looking at product strategy, businesses should ensure that they have an effective product strategy to remain competitive in the cutting-edge market. An efficient product market or product strategy would ensure that the product or service, in this case, remains updated with latest features, technology, and enhancements, and has something extra to offer to the customers. Supplementary services, something extra, value addition, something extra. Keep that in mind. You must have a culture of continuous improvement. You must have a culture of continuous additions. Not just additions, but a culture of constantly giving, adding, all right? Giving and adding, that's very, very important, right? Very, very important, right? Okay, they will have the pricing strategy. Businesses can ensure profitability and longevity by paying close attention to their pricing strategy. And efficient pricing strategy helps companies to best position themselves within the market. All right. They have the channel strategy. Oh, channel marketing is the practice of applying appropriate marketing methods to distribution channels to reach customers. It involves developing go-to-go market plans, educating channel marketers or middlemen among products or services, and motivating the members of the marketing channel to promote products and services. Hence, marketing and sales alignment is critical to an effective channel strategy. Did you get something there? I trust you do. All right, so let's proceed. So good knowledge of business strategies is essential in brand management. Then leveraging secondary brand associations to build equity. The leveraging secondary brand associations to build equity is further divided into three. So you have the co-branding, licensing, and celebrity endorsement. Although I've explained them before, but let's look at them again. Co-branding occurs when two or more existing brands are combined into a joint product or are marketed together in some fashion. A few examples are Sony Ericsson, Gillette trees, yogurt, Nestle's Cheerios cookies bars. Then you have the CIPM IPM program. They have the SHRM IPM program. They have the CMD IPM program, and others. They have PCB IPM programs and all of that. That is co-branded. Licensing. Licensing involves contractual arrangement where firms can use the names, logos, characters, and so forth of other brands for some fixed fee. A few examples are entertainment, like Matrix, Shrek, etc. Televisions and cartoon characters like Mickey Mouse. They have the designer apparels and accessories like Gucci and Armani, and so on. They have the celebrity endorsement. Firms can also use celebrity to endorse their brands to help build brand equity. Celebrity endorsement helps to draw attention to the brand and to shape the perception of the brand. A celebrity should be greatly popular and have a high level of visibility. He or she should also have a rich set of useful associations, judgment, and feelings associated with him and her by general public. All right. Now, step 3, measuring and interpreting performance. Measuring and interpreting performance. So I have the first dimension of measuring sources of equity, which will include qualitative research techniques and quantitative research techniques. Then you have developing brand equity measurement and management system, which will involve brand value chain, and then establishing a brand equity management system, and then designing brand tracking studies. Then you have the third dimension of measuring outcomes of brand equity, which will involve the holistic methods and the cooperative method. So quickly, let's look at what each of these will say to us. So developing a brand equity measurement and management systems is further divided into three parts. We have the brand value chain, designing brand tracking studies, and then establishing a brand equity management system. So let's look at what each of these will mean to us. What each of these will mean to us. Okay. So what does each of these mean to us? So the first one we look at there is the brand value chain. The brand value chain way of thinking leads to a strategy in which the company must focus on becoming brand oriented instead of product oriented. The brand value chain provides a checklist for preparing a brand status of the company's branding strategy. It can also be used as a model to tackle a critical look at the way resources are being spent. It helps to relocate the company resources to so that more is spent in where resources are being spent. Okay, let's get it right. It helps to reallocate the company resources so that more is spent in the customer system and less in the product and distribution system. Hence, brand value chain is the concept that in the future the company must optimize itself according to its value position. So let's look at what we have here. In the value chain, in the brand value chain, we have marketing activities, which will involve sales, advertising, and training. Then we'll have the brand image, which will involve awareness, attributes, and divergence. Then we'll have the brand equity, which will involve associations, preferences, and attitudes. Then we'll have the economic value, which will involve customer valuations and price power. Okay, so these are the things you consider in value in a brand value chain. Okay. Then we have the brand tracking studies. Brand audits provide in-depth information required for setting long-term strategic direction. However, for more short-term tactical considerations, less detailed brand-related information should be collected. This can be done by conducting an ongoing tracking studies. Tracking studies involve information collected from customers on a routine basis over time. Tracking studies help to understand where, how, how much, and in what ways brand value is being created. So tracking, brand tracking help you to actually know how your brand is performing. Then establishing a brand equity management system. A brand equity management system is a set of organizational processes which are designed to improve the understanding and use of the brand equity concept within a firm. There are two useful tools that is used to establish a brand equity management system, which are brand equity character, or perhaps brand equity charter rather. Brand equity charter. Brand equity charter formalizes the company view of brand equity into a document. This method should clearly define the firm's view of the brand equity concept, describe the scope of key brands in terms of associated products, then specify what the actual and desired equity is for a brand. Specify what the actual and desired equity is for a brand at all relevant levels of the brand hierarchy. Then provide strategic guidelines to manage brand equity. Then we have the brand equity report, which is concerned with the report that provides descriptive and diagnostic information as to what is happening with a brand and why. It contains details of all internal and external measures of brand performance. Also, details of sources and outcomes of brand equity, a summary of consumer perception on key attributes or key benefits, associations, preferences, and the reported behavior. This report is distributed to management on a regular basis, such as monthly, quarterly, or annually. Then quickly, let's look at measuring sources of brand equity, like to capture customers' minds. So there are two methods that are used for measuring the sources of brand equity or to capture the minds of customers, which are as follows. You have the qualitative research techniques and the quantitative research techniques. So what are these techniques all about? So let's find out what these techniques are all about. The qualitative research techniques, the four parts of qualitative research techniques are: you have the experiential methods, you have the projective techniques, you have the free associations, and then you have the brand personality and value. So what does each one mean? Just as their name sounds, they tell us what each of these techniques represent. For the experiential method, such methods help the researchers to improve the effectiveness of their qualitative approach. The researchers are able to elicit more meaningful responses from customers by tapping more directly into their actual home, work, or shopping behaviors. They have the projective techniques. It is defined as diagnostic tools that help to uncover the true opinions and feelings of consumers when the consumers are unwilling to or unable to express themselves on the subject matters. It employs two methods to gather information. You have completion and interpretation tasks. This is a fill in the bubble approach for analysis. Comparison task: in this method, the consumers convey their impressions by comparing brands to people, countries, animals, um, activities, and so on. The brand imagery and association is identified by such responses. They have the free association. The free association aims to identify the range of possible brand associations in consumers' mind in terms of favorability, relative strength, and uniqueness of brand association. The question should be framed so as to give relevant feedback. Then we have the brand personality and values. Brand personality can be easily measured by asking open-ended questions, linking the brand to persons, animals, objects, and gather information from the responses. The following factors of brand quality were reflected, known as the Big Five, which are sincerity, excitement, competence, sophistication, and ruggedness. So these are the qualitative research techniques. And then let's move on to the next one, where we have the quantitative research techniques, which also have four aspects. So the first aspect is what we call the awareness. Brand awareness is, we have the awareness, which is related to the strength of the brand in memory. So brand awareness is reflected by consumers' ability to identify various brand elements. The following factors must be taken into consideration while measuring brands awareness. So the first one is recognition, which relates to consumers' ability to identify the brand under different circumstances. Then you have the recall. Unaided recall means the identification with minimal cues. Aided recall means various cues we are used to assist recall, but we know that the most effective is to have a recognition that is, or to have recall, unaided recall. Okay, customers can always recall your product instead of saying, "Oh, where did I see this? How did I get to? Where did I?" So that does not really convey the best for your brand. Corrections for guessing. The research data collected for measure must consider issues of consumers making up responses or guessing. These may affect strategic brand decisions. They will have the strategic implications. It is important that researchers understand that recognition and recall is essential in analyzing formation of consideration sets and product decision made by consumers. Then you have the second technique, the image. The image of a brand relates to the lower level consumer perception of the specific performance and image attributes. The different types of specific brand association making up the brand image can be identified by using the quantitative research approaches. The following two methods are employed for determining the brand image association. So I have the scaling considerations and we have the other approaches. The scaling consideration, different scales can be constructed, such as absolute or comparatives, spatial or numerical, and so on. You have other approaches that could be more complex methods as multidimensional scaling, conjoint analysis, and then we have the perceptual mapping, also can be used for the purpose of assessing brand image associations. Then you have the third quantitative research technique, which is called the brand responses. The higher level considerations, such as judgment and feelings, are measured to assess and find out how consumers combine lower level considerations about the brand in their minds to form different types of brand responses and considerations. Researchers have proved through studies or consumer behavior that purchase intentions are most likely to be predictive of actual purchase when there is correspondence between any of the following categories. So we have the action, that is buying for own use or as a gift. Then we have target, specific product or brand. You have context, type of store based on prices. Then you have the time, within week, month, or year. All of these could affect brands. Okay, so if you look at the brand experience and brand promise, you have the owned, the value, the claimed, and the desired. All right, so in brand responses, you have the different dimensions that customers will follow or clients will follow. Is it that they have a brand experience that make them feel like, okay, we own this product, it's our own product, right? I believe in this product, I can vouch for this product any day or any time. Or you have that experience of claimed. All right. Okay, so people talk about brand that they don't really know about. So that is like claimed, all right? Then you have the promise, valued and desired. So you have, do you have a brand that customers consider as valued, like they really deliver the promise, or those that are desired, they can deliver the promise, or they would deliver the promise, all right? So these need to be considered as quantitative approaches to measuring sources of brand equity. And then the next in these four categories of quantitative research technique, rather, we have the brand relationship. The following dimensions need considerations while considering brand relationship. We have the behavioral loyalty, and we have the brand substitutability. So in the brand loyalty can be measured by asking questions about the previous purchases of the brand and the planned next purchases of the brand. These measures could be multi-choice or rating scales. They have the brand substitutability. The greater the number of repeat purchases, the greater is the brand equity, and lesser is the chance of brand substitutability. So you don't want your brand to be substituted. You don't want your customers to think twice about your product, right? So it moves from trust to loyalty, then to growth. All right. Okay. So we've been able to look at the four parts of quantitative research techniques for measuring sources of brand equity. We've also looked at the four parts of qualitative research techniques for measuring sources of brand equity, and I trust each of them are well understood. Whichever way, should you have any question, please feel free, drop your comments, drop your questions in the comment section. And if you well understood these cases, feel free also to type in the chat room that you understand it or not, or the comment section, so that we'll be rest assured that, okay, people going through this program, they get to understand what this program is all about. All right. Okay. Then let's look at measuring and interpreting performance still on stage. Right now, we are looking at capturing the market performance. So we have the three approaches too. You have the comparative methods, you have the holistic methods. Sorry, two approaches rather. Comparative methods and holistic methods. So let's check what each of them means. Comparative methods. There are three types of methods used to measure the outcomes of brand equity, which are as follows. Brand-based comparative approaches. In this approach, the target brand is compared to a competitor or a fictitious brand. Yes, one panel of consumer response to an element of the marketing program attributed to the target brand. Another panel responds to the same element but attributed to the competitive or fictitious brand. So that's comparative. Comparing the product with either elements or comparing your product with other brands. All right. Then you have the market-based comparative approaches. This approach uses experiments in which consumers respond to changes in elements of the marketing program or marketing activity for the target brand or competitive brands. Then you have the co-joint analysis. This is a survey-based multivariate techniques. It allows the marketers to profile the consumer decision process with respect to products and brands. Then you have the holistic method, just as the name sounds, holistic. The other one is comparative, always having different parameters to make analysis on, right? But holistic, all right? Okay, so the holistic methods attempt to place an overall value on the brand in either abstract utility terms or concrete financial terms. There are two approaches that are used in holistic methods. You have the residual approach and you have the valuation approach. The residual approach has to do with attempts to examine the value of the brand. That's residual approach. This is done by subtracting customers' preferences based on physical attributes alone for the brand from their overall brand preference. So through surveys, we'll be able to gather this. And by the time we are done with this class, we should have provided different templates that will help us measure brands, surveys that can be created for brand measurement, right? Okay. Then we have the valuation approach. This approach attempts to place a financial value on brand equity. This value is used for accounting purposes, mergers and acquisition, and or other such reasons. Okay, so valuation. Okay, so we have the last step, which is growing and sustaining brand equity. Growing and sustaining brand equity. First, we have is designing and implementing the brand management strategies. Then the second dimension is introducing and naming products and brand distinctions. Then we have managing brands over time. So from the first one on designing and implementing brand strategies, we have brand architecture and we have the brand hierarchy. On the second dimension of introducing and naming products and brand exceptions, we have brand new products and brand distinctions. Then we'll have disadvantages of extensions, and then we'll look at the advantages of extensions as well. Then we'll, under the third dimension of managing brands over time, we'll look at revitalizing brands and then reinforcing your brands. In the first category of designing and implementing brand strategies, most brands are part of a wider organization. The designing and the implementing brand strategies is further divided into two parts. We have the brand architecture and we have the brand hierarchy. So let's look at what each of them really means. So on the brand architecture, it is the structure and organization of brands, the structure and organization of brands. So we have the breadth of a branding strategy. We have the breadth of a branding strategy, the breadth of a branding strategy, the breadth of a product mix. Three factors determine the inherent attractiveness of a product category. Now, let's look at these three factors that will determine the inherent attractiveness of a product strategy. We'll have the aggregate market factors. We'll have the category factors. Of course, one of the things we'll look at in this course is category management. Okay, so we'll look at environmental factors as well. Okay, and then we also look at the depth of product mix, still under the breadth of branding strategy. We'll look at the depth of product mix. An important rule to remember to decide the depth of the product mix is a product line is too short if the manager can increase long-term profit by adding items. The line is too long if the manager can increase profit by dropping items. So look at that is a simple rule there, right? So a product line one is too short if the manager can increase long-term benefit by adding items. Look at that again. A product line is too short if the manager can increase long-term profits by adding items. That means we consider a product line short if the profit is considered on the longer term by adding profit. Then the product line is too long if the manager can increase profits by dropping items. So your profit is increasing as you're dropping items, right? So, and that will lead us to what we call the blue ocean strategy. We'll take our time to also look at the blue ocean strategy and understand the meaning of these two words, these two rules, right? Okay. Then still on brand architecture, we'll now look at the depth of a branding strategy. The depth of branding strategy. We'll have the flankers, we'll have the cash cows, we'll have the low-end entry and high-end prestige brands. So what does each of these mean? Okay. For the flankers brands are used to create stronger points of parity with competitive brands. The cash cows in firms, there are some brands that retain loyal customers and generate healthy profit with virtually no market support. So these customers have done more on customer retention, which has moved from trust to loyalty, and now they are turning them to profits. They have the low-end entry level and the high-end prestige brand. The first category, low-end entry levels, are called the traffic builders, and they are able to trade up customers to the high higher priced brands. Then we have the brand hierarchy. Brand hierarchy. It is a means of summarizing the branding strategy by displaying the number and nature of common distinctive brand elements across the firm's products. It helps to review the explicit ordering of brand elements. Under it, we have the potential levels of brand hierarchy. A simple representation of possible brand elements and thus potential levels of brand hierarchy might be as follows. We have the corporate brand, example, the Chrysler, Daimler. Then we have the family brand, example, the Mercedes-Benz. Then we have the individual brand as the 1000 SEL. Then we have the modifier, which is designating item or model like LS, VS, and all of that. Then we have the brand hierarchy built within a firm. A brand hierarchy is a means of summarizing the branding strategy by displaying the number and nature of common and distinctive brand elements across the firm's strategy. It helps to review the explicit ordering of brand elements. Now, let us now look at how brand hierarchy can be built within a firm. This can be done in two ways: by building equity at different hierarchy levels, by creating corporate image dimensions. Still on growing and sustaining brand, we have introducing and naming new products and brands. The introducing and naming new products and brand extension is further divided into three parts. We have the new product and brand extensions, we have advantages of extensions, and then we have disadvantages of brand extension. Let us look at each one in detail. Introducing and naming new products and brand extensions. There are three ways in which a firm can brand a product when a firm introduces a new product. These are: it can develop a new brand individually chosen for the new product. It can apply in some way one of its existing brands. It can use a combination of new brands with an existing brand. A brand extension is when a firm uses an established brand name to introduce a new product. Brand extensions can be broadly classified into two general categories. You have the line extensions, you have the category extensions. The parent brand is used to brand a new product that targets a new market segment within a product category currently served by the parent brand. They have the category extension. The new brand is used to enter different product category from that currently served by the parent brand. So if you look at each of them, you can have a line extension or you can have category extension. Okay. Now let us now look at the Ansoff's growth share matrix that helps to decide the strategy to be employed while deciding on brand extension. So if you look at the Ansoff's growth share matrix, you have current markets, or perhaps you have market versus products. So under the market region, you have current market versus new market. Then under the product, you have current product versus new product. Now, how do you go by this? So when we have an intersection between current market versus current product, the market penetration strategy should be used. When there is an intersection between current market versus new product development strategy should be used. When we have new market versus current products, new market development strategy should be used. When we have new market versus new product, diversification strategy should be used. I trust you get that. Now, let's look at advantages of extension. If the extensions are well planned and well implemented, they can offer a number of advantages to marketers. The following are some of the advantages of extension. Number one, extensions that facilitate new product acceptance can improve brand image, reduce risk perceived by customers, increase efficiency of promotional expenditures, reduce cost of introductory and follow-up marketing programs, avoid cost of developing a new brand, and then allow packaging and labeling efficiency. So if you have extensions that facilitate new product acceptance, then it is an advantage to you. Such things as co-branding can facilitate acceptance, all right? Such things as licensing, such things as celebrity endorsements, right? Okay, then you have number two, extensions that provide feedback benefits to parent brand and company can enhance the parent brand image, bring new customers into the brand franchise and increase market coverage, and then revitalize the brand. All right, so the same thing also applies here. When you have extensions that provide feedback benefits to parent brand and companies, then it can help in improving the brand also, right? It can help in improving the brand. More of the things we want to do in our consulting firms, all of us, is to create networks, is to create business-to-business relationship that will further provide feedback to us, and that will help in promoting the brand that we have created. Disadvantages of brand extension. The following could be some of the disadvantages. It can confuse or frustrate customers. It can encounter retailer resistance. It can fail and hurt parent brand image. It can succeed but cannibalize sales of parent brand. It can succeed but diminish identification of any other or any one category. It can dilute brand meaning. It can cause the company to forego the chance to develop a new brand. Then still on growing and sustaining brand equity, we have managing brands over time. It is very important to understand the long-term effects of marketing activities on brand equity. Firms should carefully consider the consumer response to past marketing activities, the brand awareness and image, as well as the customer response to current marketing activities, and to predict the response to further activities. Analyzing this information will help firms to manage the brands over a long period of time. There are various strategies that are used to manage the brands over a long period of time, which are as follows. You have the reinforcing brands, you have the revitalizing brands. Okay, so let's quickly look at what each of these things say: reinforcing brands and revitalizing brands. The reinforcing brands, there are various ways in which the brands can be reinforced over a period of time to maintain their power. So the first is maintaining brand consistency. Of course, consistency in key. If your brand must have some level of equity, right? So consistency is key. It is important to maintain brand consistency throughout and to continuously improve the brands to build and sustain the brand equity. They have protecting sources of brand equity. It is important to protect and maintain consistently the sources of brand equity, as sustaining the sources will ensure the sustenance of the brands over the long term. They have fortifying versus leveraging. It is vital that strengths of the brand should be leveraged upon and weaknesses should be fortified against any kind of pitfalls. They will have fine-tuning the supporting marketing programs. The supporting marketing program should be fine-tuned so that they cater to both the marketing needs of a brand, the product-related performance associations, and the non-product-related imagery association should all be fine-tuned. Then, talking about the revitalizing brands or revitalization of brand, it is very essential that the brand should be rejuvenated from time to time to maintain its impact and freshness. Brand, one of the things we'll consider there to ensure that brands are well revitalized is expanding brand awareness, then improving brand image, and then entering new markets. Very, very important. All right. Some of us get scared, especially about entering new markets, okay, or expanding brand awareness. People always talk about things like that, the money, the capital investment to be used and all of that. But if you've actually done your assessment on the revenue, remember we talked about the revenue side of branding. If you've done your assessment on the revenue and the importance and the benefit it will bring to you, then you shouldn't consider expenditure as except the cost you're going to incur is not equivalent to the revenue you're expecting. And remember, when branding, you should consider the short-term and the long-term dimensions of branding. All right. So there are branding that could be done for short-term purposes, and then there are branding that could be done for long-term purposes. The branding that could be done for short-term purposes to increase profits in the longer term, and then those that are done to increase profits in a shorter term. All right. So all of them need to be well articulated before we go into branding. Right. Very, very important. So expanding brand awareness. Brand awareness among the customers should be expanded by identifying additional or new usage opportunities of the brand. The customers will feel a new experience of the brand, and the brand will be rejuvenated in the minds of the customers. Then you have improving brand image. The brand image should be improved by repositioning the brand in the market. The brand should be placed to occupy a new niche in the market. The brand element should be changed to achieve this. Then entering new markets, revitalizing of brands also can be done by venturing into new markets and exploring the possibility of establishing the brand in completely different arenas. And that's the talks about the blue ocean strategy. We'll take time to look at that particular strategy and deal with it extensively. All right, as we begin to round up, let's look at strategic brand management guidelines. Strategic brand management guidelines. Now, in looking at the strategic brand management guidelines, starting from the first, we have number one, establish and maintain the brand. It is necessary that for establishing and maintaining a brand, a holistic approach or an overall strategy be used. Number two, maintain consistency between the brand strategy and overall business goals. The brand strategy should be in line with overall business goals of the organization. Number three, select proper license partners. The profile of the ideal license partner should be developed, and the focus should be to ensure long-term relationship with the licensors or the licensees and licenses rather. Then number four, maximize the strategic advantage of the brand. It is important that organizations should focus on maximizing leverage, the leverage of the brand. Then number five, decide about license agreement. The decisions on whether the license agreement should be exclusive or non-exclusive will have important implications for all of the business. Number six, enforce key provisions through license agreement. Enforcing various important concerns such as quality control standards and reporting standards can be done through a properly charted out license agreement. Then number seven, affix products and services. An effective strategy of brand management is to ensure that the brand is associated to the most popular products and services offered by licensees, products and services. Then we have actively integrate, that's number eight, actively integrate the brand management strategy into product development and launch activities. It is important that the companies actively integrate the brand strategy into product development and then launch activities by using a clear and proactive strategy. Okay, now before we round up, can we quickly look at a case study with Coca-Cola? And by looking at Coca-Cola, you will use that to answer one or two questions about your own brand that you want to build. Coca-Cola has had strong brand equity for a long time, longer than the years we've lived, some of us anyway. It has a large range of products under each listed name. Now, number one, conduct a thorough research and find out how Coca-Cola has built its brand equity over the years. Number two, what were the strategies employed? And number three, what were the major successes and pitfalls, if any? Now, take your time, make your research, put your answers in the comment section of this class on this channel, and then let us all learn together. And then from there, we can also learn about our own selves. In summary, in this model, you've learned brand is a name, term, sign, symbol, or a combination of all of these, which differentiate the goods or services of one seller or group of sellers from those of competitors. Brand management is the process of defining the brand, positioning the brand, and delivering the brand. Brand equity is the value, both tangible and intangible, that a brand adds to a product or service. The strategic brand management process consists of the following 4 steps: identifying and establishing brand positioning or position, planning and implementing brand marketing programs, measuring and interpreting brand performance, then growing and sustaining brand equity. Then we've also learned that a brand equity management system is a set of organizational processes which are designed to improve the understanding and use of the brand equity concept within a firm. Now, at this juncture, we'd like to say a very big thank you for going through this program, and we'd like to enjoin you to take your time, go through this program over and over again, and then answer questions in the comment section provided. Should you have any questions, feel free to ask us there, and we'll be ready to provide you with all the answers. We shall be moving to the next class now. Also, feel free to answer or take those free tests to ascertain your level of comprehension in this program. Thank you so much, and see you in the next class.